Strangers and Silk Olivia blinked awake to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. The Manhattan skyline stretched before her, buildings gleaming like gold bars in the morning light. She sat up in a bed that felt both decadent and unfamiliar, soft Egyptian cotton sheets pooling around her waist. "Where am I?" she whispered to the empty room. Her head throbbed as she tried to remember how she'd gotten here. But her mind offered only a blank canvas where memories should be. More alarming was the realization that followed. She couldn't recall her own name, her age, or anything about herself at all. Panic rising, she noticed the massive diamond adorning her left hand, catching light and scattering tiny rainbows across the silk duvet. She stared at it, transfixed and confused. "You're finally awake," the deep voice startled her. A tall man with sharp features and midnight black hair stood in the doorway, concern evident in his storm-gray eyes. He wore an impeccably tailored charcoal suit that screamed wealth and power. "The doctor said you might be disoriented. Who are you?" Olivia managed, shrinking back against the headboard. "And who am I?" Something flickered across his face, perhaps before he composed himself. "Your name is Olivia Pierce." "Well, Olivia Blackwood now. I'm Julian Blackwood, your husband." The words hit her like physical blows. Husband. Concept seemed absurd, impossible. "That can't be right," she said, shaking her head. "I don't remember you at all." Julian approached slowly, as if she were a frightened animal. "We married 3 months ago. You were in an accident last week. A fall. The doctors warned there might be some memory loss." "Some," she laughed, the sound brittle and hysterical. "I don't even know my own face." He handed her a silver-framed photo from the nightstand. In it, she wore a flowing white dress on a pristine beach, Julian's arm around her waist as they smiled at the camera.
Yes.
The woman in the photo had her face amber eyes, delicate features, honey blonde hair cascading in loose waves, but the happiness in her expression felt like it belonged to someone else entirely. "The Maldives," Julian explained. "A private ceremony. Just us and essential staff. You wanted something intimate." Olivia set the photo down, her hand trembling. "This doesn't feel real." "I know it's overwhelming," he said, his voice softening. "But everything you need is here. Your clothes are in the closet. There's a full staff to assist you. And I've arranged for a neurologist to visit tomorrow." "Where are my parents? My friends? Don't I have anyone else?" Julian's expression tightened almost imperceptibly. "Your parents passed years ago. You were rather private. Your work at my foundation was your primary focus." "What foundation?" she asked, desperate for any detail that might trigger recognition. "Blackwood Global Initiative. We fund sustainable technology projects worldwide." He checked his watch. "I have meetings I can't reschedule, but Harriet, our housekeeper, will help you with anything you need. I'll be back for dinner." Could protest, he leaned down and placed a gentle kiss on her forehead. Though the gesture seemed practiced, there was hesitation behind it, like he was touching a stranger, which, Olivia realized as she watched him leave, was exactly what she was to herself. Fragments of a forgotten life. The next 3 days passed in a blur for Olivia. Julian had arranged for a renowned neurologist, Dr. Patterson, who confirmed retrograde amnesia from her fall. The prognosis was cautiously optimistic. Memories might return gradually, but there were no guarantees. "Try surrounding yourself with familiar objects," Dr. Patterson suggested. "Photos, mementos, even scents can sometimes trigger recollections." After the doctor left, Olivia began exploring the penthouse that supposedly belonged to her and Julian. The space was immaculate, modern, with tasteful art and sleek furniture that cost more than most people's homes. Yet nothing felt personal or lived in what Julian called her study. She found a desk with neatly arranged stationery bearing the Blackwood Global Initiative logo. According to Julian, she helped manage charitable grants for sustainable technology projects in developing countries. Important work, certainly, but it stirred no recognition. While examining the bookshelves, Olivia discovered a leather-bound journal tucked between finance volumes. The handwriting inside matched her own, but the content puzzled her. Notes about marine conservation, sketches of coral reefs, and passionate paragraphs about ocean acidification. Nothing about technology or the Blackwood Foundation. Did I study marine biology? She asked Harriet, the stern-faced housekeeper who seemed perpetually hovering nearby. Not that Mr. Blackwood ever mentioned, Harriet replied, her eyes darting. To the journal? Perhaps a hobby? That evening, while Julian worked late, Olivia found herself drawn to a particular photo of her and Julian at some gala, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. Something about her appearance nagged at her. Opening her expansive closet, she surveyed the designer clothes, all in neutral tones, nothing colorful, nothing casual. On impulse, she checked the pockets of a rarely worn jacket and found a crumpled receipt from Seabreeze Cafe in a place called Port Harbor, dated just 4 months ago. The name vibrated through her with unexpected familiarity. While searching online for information about Port Harbor, she discovered it was a small coastal town in Oregon over 3,000 miles from Manhattan. What had she been doing there months before? Her supposed Maldives wedding? Her research was interrupted when Julian returned home, bringing Thai food supposedly her favorite. The gesture was thoughtful, but the spicy noodles tasted foreign on her tongue. "How was your day?" he asked, watching her carefully. Confusing, Olivia admitted. "Julian, did we ever visit Oregon together? A place called Port Harbor?" His fork paused midway to his mouth. "No, why? Just something I found. Thought maybe I'd been there, not with me." His tone was casual, but his knuckles whitened around his fork. "Before we met, perhaps. You traveled quite a bit." That night, Olivia dreamed of crashing waves and salty air, a small blue cottage, a laboratory with specimens in jars, and a woman's voice calling her, Fiona. She woke gasping, the name echoing. In her mind, was Fiona someone she knew, or was it her real name? While Julian showered the next morning, Olivia impulsively checked his phone. Its background was their wedding photo, but something about it bothered her. Zooming in, she noticed her dress had been subtly altered, photoshopped to appear more expensive than it was. The discovery sent ice through her veins. Why would Julian need to enhance their wedding photos? Returning to the journal, she found a page she'd missed, a phone number with the name Thea beside it. Heart racing, Olivia dialed from the landline while Julian was at work. "Hello," answered a wary female voice. "I'm sorry to bother you," Olivia said carefully. "My name is..." "Well, I'm told it's Olivia. I found your number in my journal, but I've lost my memory, and oh my God," the woman gasped. "Fiona? Is that really you? The name from her dream?" Olivia's legs gave out and she sank to the floor. "Where are you?" Thea demanded. "We've been looking everywhere." "The research center said..." "You just disappeared without notice." "Research center? In Port Harbor." "Of course, in Port Harbor. The Marine Conservation Institute, where we've worked for the past 3 years. Fiona, what's happening? Your apartment's been empty for months." Olivia heard footsteps approaching. Julian wasn't supposed to be home yet. "I can't talk now," she whispered urgently. "What's my full name? My real name?" "Fiona Reeves." "Fee, you're scaring me." Olivia hung up as Julian appeared in the doorway, his expression unreadable. "Were you talking to?" he asked softly. Standing on shaky legs, Olivia faced the man who claimed to be her husband. "I think," she said carefully, "that you've been lying to me about who I am." Whispers and warnings, Julian's expression shifted from concern to calculation in a heartbeat. "You need to rest," he said, stepping closer. Dr. Patterson warned about confabulation, creating false memories to fill the gaps. "This isn't confabulation, Olivia, or rather," Fiona countered. "I spoke with someone who knows me. My real name is Fiona Reeves. I'm a marine researcher from Oregon, not your foundation director." Something dangerous flashed in Julian's eyes before he masked it with a pained smile. "Darling, this is exactly what Dr. Patterson cautioned about. Your mind is creating connections that aren't real." "Then explain this," she demanded, holding up the journal. "Marine conservation notes. A receipt from Port Harbor. And when I called the number for Thea, she recognized my voice immediately as Fiona." Julian sighed heavily, running a hand through his perfect hair. "I hope to spare you this, but perhaps honesty is better now." He guided her to sit on the edge of the bed. "Yes, you worked in marine conservation before we met. We're using the name Fiona Reeves, professional pseudonym to protect your privacy as a Blackwood. The explanation sounded rehearsed. Perfect. You never mentioned this before, she said cautiously. You asked me not to. After your parents died, you created this separate identity, Fiona, the researcher, to escape the spotlight. When we fell in love, you decided to leave that life behind. Your colleagues wouldn't have understood your choice to marry me and join the foundation. It was plausible, yet something felt deeply wrong. If that's true, why do I have no memories? Of being Olivia? Why do I dream of Port Harbor? The mind is mysterious, Julian said smoothly. Perhaps you're remembering the life you chose to leave behind. That night, unable to sleep beside the stranger claiming to be her husband, Fiona crept to the study and searched for concrete evidence of her life as Olivia Pierce. Birth certificate, passport, university degrees all existed, but none dated back more than a year. The paper trail was impeccable, but suspiciously recent. The next morning, Julian announced he needed to travel to Tokyo for emergency business. 3 days, maximum, he promised, kissing her cheek. Harriet will stay with you. Dr. Patterson will visit tomorrow. The moment his private elevator departed, Fiona confronted Harriet. How long have you worked for Julian? 15 years? The housekeeper answered stiffly. And how long have you known me? Harriet's eyes shifted. Since Mr. Blackwood brought you home? When exactly was that? I'm not comfortable with this line of questioning, Mrs. Blackwood. When? Fiona pressed. 3.5 weeks ago, Harriet. Finally admitted, after your ... accident. The timeline collapsed. 3 weeks, not 3 months. There was no Maldives wedding. While Harriet prepared lunch, Fiona discovered a locked drawer in Julian's desk. Using a letter opener, she jimmied it open to find a folder labeled Project Lighthouse. Inside were surveillance photos of her, Fiona, in Port Harbor working at the Marine Conservation Institute. Notes detailed her routine, her research on coral restoration, even her preference for cinnamon in her coffee. Most disturbing was a document outlining her research grant, $2.3 million awarded to study oceanic carbon capture technology, funded anonymously through a shell corporation. With trembling hands, Fiona found the final piece, a newspaper clipping. About a boating accident near Port Harbor 3 weeks ago. Local researcher missing, presumed dead. Her photo, her name Fiona Reeves. Just then, her phone chimed with a text from an unknown number. Don't trust anyone. Not safe to talk. Meet tomorrow. Central Park, Bethesda Fountain, noon. Thea, hope surged through her, quickly followed by fear. If Julian had manufactured their relationship, what else was he capable of? That evening, Dr. Patterson arrived for her scheduled checkup. As he examined her, Fiona casually asked, How long have you known Julian? Oh, we went to Harvard. Together, the doctor replied easily. He's one of my oldest friends. Red flags waved frantically in Fiona's mind. This man wasn't an impartial neurologist. He was Julian's accomplice, after he left. Fiona overheard Harriet on the phone. She's asking questions. ... Yes, sir. I know she hasn't left the building. ... I understand the importance. Noticed the elevator required a key card she didn't possess. The stairwell door was locked. Even the windows didn't open more than a few inches. She wasn't Julian's wife. She was his prisoner. The revelation morning brought a pounding headache and cold resolve. Fiona needed to escape before Julian returned from Tokyo. The Central Park meeting with Thea was her best chance. But first, she had to get out of the penthouse fortress, observing. Harriet's morning routine, Fiona noticed the housekeeper used a key card to access the private elevator. During breakfast, Fiona deliberately spilled orange juice on Harriet's uniform. I'm so sorry, she exclaimed. Let me help you clean up. No need, Mrs. Blackwood. I'll change quickly. The moment Harriet disappeared into her quarters, Fiona slipped into the kitchen, found the housekeeper's purse, and palmed the key card. Heart hammering, she grabbed her wallet and the Project Lighthouse folder, then made for the elevator. Going somewhere? Harriet stood, blocking her path, face grim, phone in hand. Just downstairs for some air, Fiona lied, forcing a smile. Afraid I can't allow that without Mr. Blackwood's permission. Desperation fueled inspiration. Harriet, do you know what Julian's really doing? I'm not his wife, I'm his captive. He's stolen my identity, my life. He saved you, Harriet interrupted, her voice suddenly passionate. You were nearly dead when he found you. That boating accident was no accident at all. Fiona froze. What do you mean? Your research threatened powerful interests? The carbon capture technology you developed could revolutionize climate change, mitigation, and devastate the fossil fuel industry. Mr. Blackwood intercepted communications planning your elimination. If he was protecting me, why the elaborate charade? Why not tell me the truth? Harriet's expression softened marginally. Protection requires isolation. The people who tried to kill you believe they succeeded. If you resumed your life as Fiona Reeves, they'd finish the job. Explanation was almost believable, except for one detail. Then why claim I'm his wife? Why not just offer sanctuary? Harriet looked away. That was not part of the original plan. Mr. Blackwood has admired your work for years. He funded your research anonymously through his environmental initiatives. When he rescued you, the doctors said familiar emotional connections might help your recovery. So he invented one, Fiona concluded bitterly. He wanted to tell you everything once your memory returned naturally. Harriet hesitated. Mrs. Blackwood, stop calling me that. I'm not his wife. Actually came a new voice. Legally, you are. Julian stood in the doorway, his Tokyo trip apparently shortened. His eyes were tired, his usual polish slightly diminished. We're unconscious for days, he explained quietly. The people who tried to kill you have connections in law enforcement, hospitals. I needed legal authority to make medical decisions, to protect you from visitors who might recognize you. And marriage gave me that authority. You married me while I was unconscious. Fiona was incredulous. The judge owed me a favor. The paperwork is legitimate, if unorthodox. He approached slowly. I never touched you, never took advantage. Separate bedrooms from the beginning. Why not just tell me this when I woke up? Because telling an amnesiac she's being hunted by corporate assassins seemed cruel. His smile was sad. And perhaps because I hoped selfishly that you might come to care for me as I've cared for you from afar. Ona's mind spun. How can I believe any of this? Julian nodded to Harriet, who retrieved a laptop. On screen appeared security footage of a marina. Fiona watched herself boarding a research vessel. Then later, the same boat exploding in a fireball that couldn't possibly be accidental. We have more evidence of who's behind this, Julian said. But first, you should know your friend Thea isn't who you think she is. What do you mean? Julian pulled out his phone, showing her a personnel file. Thea Winters. Hired by Globotech Industries 3 months ago. The same corporation that stands to lose billions if your carbon capture technology succeeds. The Central Park meetings suddenly seemed less like rescue and more like a trap. If you don't believe me, Julian said softly, we can go together. My security team can monitor from a distance. If I'm lying, you walk away free. If she's lying... He left the sentence unfinished. Fiona studied the man before her, powerful, controlling, possibly obsessed with her. Yet the evidence supported his claims. And somewhere deep inside, beyond memory, instinct whispered that despite his methods, Julian Blackwood was telling the truth. Okay, she said finally. We'll go together. Choices of the Heart Central Park hummed with midday activity as Fiona and Julian approached Bethesda Fountain. His security team, 3 inconspicuous men and women with earpieces, maintained distance while scanning the area. There she is, Fiona murmured, spotting Thea on a bench, blonde hair pulled back, sunglasses hiding her eyes. Julian touched her arm gently. Shh, be careful. If I'm wrong about her, I'll let you go with my deepest apologies. Fiona nodded and walked toward her supposed friend, hyper-aware of every movement around her. Thea stood as she approached, embracing her tightly. Fiona, thank God you're okay, she exclaimed, her voice breaking. We need to get you somewhere safe. What happened to me, Thea? Fiona asked, studying the woman's face for signs of deception. You were getting too close with your research. They sabotaged your boat. Thea glanced nervously around.
That man watching us, is he with Blackwood?
How do you know about Julian? Everyone in the industry knows Blackwood. He's been buying up clean energy patents for years, shelving technologies that threaten his investments. Thea tugged her arm. We need to go now. My car's just outside the park. Something in Thea's explanation didn't align with what Fiona had learned about Julian's environmental initiatives. So why would Julian fund my research if he wanted to suppress it? Thea's expression flickered. To control it, obviously. Look, we don't have time. One more question, Fiona interrupted. In the lab, what did we name our favorite coral specimen? Thea's smile faltered. You never named them. The real Thea would have known about Dory, the vibrant blue coral sample they'd nurtured for months. Fiona stepped back. You're not Thea. The woman's demeanor transformed instantly. Fine, we'll do this the hard way. Her hand moved toward her purse. Julian's security converged immediately, surrounding the imposter before she could retrieve what Fiona suspected was a weapon. Within moments, the fake Thea was escorted away, struggling and cursing. Globotech hired her 2 weeks ago, Julian explained later in the safety of a different penthouse, a secure location even Harriet didn't know about. They're getting desperate. Your research prototype was recovered from the wreckage. Without you to complete it, they're trying to find anyone connected to your work? Fiona stared out at the unfamiliar skyline. The real Thea. Safe. We've had her under protection since your accident. Same with your other colleagues, Julian hesitated. I should have told you everything from the beginning. I was trying to shield you from trauma, but I ended up betraying your trust. Instead, Fiona turned to face him. You did save my life. But you also took away my agency, my identity. I know, he acknowledged, regret evident in his voice. The marriage can be annulled immediately. And then what? I can't go back to being Fiona Reeves. No, he agreed. But you can be whoever you choose to be now. Your research can continue under Blackwood's protection, no strings attached. Different name, different location, complete autonomy. Fiona considered this man who had orchestrated an elaborate deception out of equal parts protection and obsession. Why did you really do all this, Julian? The whole truth this time. He looked away, uncharacteristically vulnerable. 5 years ago, my sister died from complications of respiratory illness caused by industrial pollution. I dedicated my resources to finding solutions. Her research was the most promising I'd ever seen. I funded it anonymously because I didn't want to influence your work with my name or expectations. And then I watched your presentations, read your papers, and following your career. Admiration became something more. He met her eyes directly. I fell in love with your mind long before I ever met you. I learned about the assassination plot. I couldn't bear the thought of your brilliance being extinguished. The confession hung between them, honest and uncomfortable. I don't know if I can forgive the deception, Fiona said finally. But I understand it came from a place of protection, however misguided. I don't expect forgiveness, Julian replied. Just the chance to make amends by helping you reclaim your purpose. 3 months later, Dr. Fiona Benita, new identity. Crafted with Julian's resources, stood in a state-of-the-art laboratory on a private island research facility. Her memory had largely returned, though fragments remained elusive. Her carbon capture technology was nearing completion, with Julian's foundation providing both protection and global implementation pathways. Julian himself maintained respectful distance, visiting monthly to check on security and funding needs. The annulment papers remained unsigned in Fiona's desk drawer. After his latest visit, as Julian prepared to leave, Fiona made a decision. Would you stay for dinner? She asked. I'd like to hear more about your sister. Surprise and cautious hope crossed his face. I'd like that. Fiona knew her path forward wasn't simple. Trust, once broken, rebuilt slowly. But as she led Julian to the research facility's small dining area, she recognized that sometimes the most unexpected beginnings led to the most extraordinary possibilities. Her identity had been fractured, then forged anew. And while she wasn't ready to be anyone's bride just yet, she was finally ready to write her own story chapter by complex. Chapter